guys, and welcome back to my channel. The case that I'm going to be looking into today is, well, I found it very strange. I guess there's either a simple explanation for it or there isn't, but I just always find it weird when like an entire family goes missing, and that is what this case is. It is on the Schulze family, which consisted of 3 people, and they just went missing one day. I don't know, I just found it weird. So let's just get into the case and see what you guys think about it. The Schulze family consisted of Marco, who was 41 years old at the time of this case occurring, Sylvia, which was obviously, well, it might not be obvious, but it was Marco's wife. She was 43 years old, and they also had a daughter called Miriam, who was 12 years old at the time. The pair met back in 2002, and they actually got married in 2007, and then obviously they had Miriam. They all lived in a very quiet district in Hamburg in the north of Germany. Sylvia, from what I could find, also did have another adult child from another marriage, I believe, but this child was not living with them at the time. It was just the 3 of them. I believe it was a daughter. Marco actually had like 3 jobs. He worked in a chemical factory, and he had another job working as a truck driver, and also he worked as a farmhand at a ranch's stables. I believe that Miriam actually would often ride horses at this equestrian centre, and you know, it would also be his job. He would go out and help muck out the horses and things like that. So he actually had quite a lot of jobs, really, like 3 jobs. And Sylvia did have a job as well. It's not like she was unemployed, so he was supporting the entire family by needing to get 3 jobs. She had a job too. She was actually a deputy manager at a grocery store. I don't know why he had 3 jobs, whether he just really enjoyed it and that is what he wanted to do. Who knows at this point, but he did. Both of them were described as being very reliable, very caring and loving people who just loved their little lives and their little family that they had. So I found that on the 21st of July in 2015, the family all went to the horse ranch together, and that was the last time that they were all seen out as a family. The next day was the last day in school before the children were breaking up for some holidays. So this was the 22nd of July, 2015 still, obviously. And Miriam, of course, was supposed to go in, attend her last day of school, and then they would break up for some holidays. However, by everything that I've read, she was actually taken ill on that day, and so she did not go in school. Sylvia went off to work like normal, and Marco apparently had the day off already, so he was already available and ready to be there for Miriam, who was poorly. That was actually the last day that Sylvia and Miriam was seen. So Sylvia's off at work, and at about 1:45 she gets a text message from Marco that states that Miriam is feeling worse. And obviously she's her mum, and she tried to go home to be with her poorly daughter, and Marco had asked that she would come home as soon as possible. So she tried. She went to her employers and asked to see whether she could go home early because her daughter was poorly. But in order for that to happen, they had to find a replacement. She couldn't just go. So they were trying about finding a replacement for her, and then she left work at 4:20 after they had found a replacement. She arrived home at 10 to 5-ish, which is actually, that's been reconstructed from phone data because her phone actually connected to the Wi-Fi at that time, which leads you to believe that obviously that is when she arrived home, because that is when she connected to Wi-Fi. So that's what that is reconstructed off. We actually don't have like somebody clearly stating that, so we just have to go off things like that. Now, later on in that evening, Marco received a call from the horse ranch to see whether he could do a shift the next day. I believe it was about 5-ish. I'm not entirely sure on the timing on that, and if I've got it wrong, please do let me know. But he actually was very hesitant when asked if he could do this emergency shift the next day, which is strange because if he had plans, then you just say, no, I can't do it kind of thing. So why was he so hesitant as to whether he could actually do it or not? I just found that really, really strange. Like, you either know or you don't, and it's as simple as that. It's a yes or a no. In my eyes, anyway. Apparently, he was also seen working on that horse ranch at 7:30 later on, cleaning a table or something along those lines. So whether that was his normal shift anyway, I'm not entirely sure, or whether he had agreed to go in because he couldn't do tomorrow, I don't know. I don't really know. It's confusing, this case, a little bit. He was also seen by a neighbour taking out garbage later on. I also did read a report somewhere that the next day, the 23rd of July, he was spotted by somebody driving his wife's car out of the village. And those are the last times that he was seen alive. So on the 24th of July, Sylvia had now not been in work for 2 days, and her employer was getting worried. It wasn't like her at all, and so they reported her as missing. The police also, when the police looked into it, they also found out that Marco had not turned into work either, and so they decided to go down to the house and check it out and see what was what. When they went down, nobody answered the door, so they ended up gaining entrance to the house, and they didn't find anything out of the ordinary. The 2 cars were still parked in the garage. They had all important documents and things inside. All the wallets were still inside. There wasn't any evidence of there being a struggle or anything like that. The windows were left partially open, and they even found the 2 family cats, but there was no trace of the 3 people whatsoever. Literally nothing. So the police got on to looking into the family is missing. They reached out to the public, seeing if anybody had seen anything, anybody knew anything. But despite their searches and their best efforts and all the information that they tried to put out there to get back in, they couldn't find the family. That was until somebody found something 3 days later, and it was Marco's body. He was found in the River Elbe. It appeared to be, and this is what the police believe happened, that he took his own life, because there was a bridge by. They found a concrete block tied to his body with some industrial wrapping or something like that. You know, from what I saw, it looks like, you know what lorry drivers put over cargo to strap it in? Something like that. So initially when I saw that, I thought, well, maybe somebody has murdered him and tied the block to him and dumped him in the river. But where the block actually came from was that bridge, and the ties were attached to his bike. So they found his bike on that bridge. They also found Miriam's bike on that bridge, and those ties had come from that. The more I looked into it, the more it did kind of seem like he drove up to that bridge. He got the block from some roadworks or some construction that was being done on the bridge, which you can see in this picture. This is literally the block that was taken, and one is missing. And then he tied it around him with the stuff that he had on his bike and then jumped. But it's just a theory at this point. We don't know that for certain, but there was no evidence of foul play or anything like that, so it does seem highly likely that was the case. Medical investigators ruled that he probably died between the 23rd and the 24th, in the night sometime. And his death was ruled as suicide by the police. So this, obviously, why would Marco take his own life? His wife and daughter have vanished off the face of the earth, and he is then found in the river. And you may be thinking, why would he take his own life? So obviously that sprung the theory that maybe he did a murder-suicide, where he killed his family, killed his wife, killed his daughter, and then took his own life. According to you remember the adult daughter that I mentioned of Sylvia's? Well, according to her, Marco had actually lost his driver's license. I believe it may have been due to alcohol. I believe he may have been driving under the influence. I could be incorrect with that, and if I am, I'm sorry, but I'm sure, well, not sure. I think that was the case. And as a result of that, he then lost his second job as a truck driver, because he's lost his license. He can no longer drive trucks. And I believe this was several days before he actually went missing. It could be a financial strain thing, that maybe because he lost his second job. I don't know. Some people snap for less things, so it's possible. There's also rumours that Sylvia wanted to leave her husband, but again, they are just that. The police didn't find anyone looking into it, anything that could show that. But I mean, it could be word of mouth. She could have told friends or family or anything that she wanted to leave him, but there was just no evidence of that in their lives. Who knows at this point? They also didn't find any evidence that there was financial related problems with the family. And I believe they didn't actually think that Sylvia wanted to leave Marco. So again, rumours, I don't know, it's just, this case is full of them. It's full of unanswered questions that will probably never be answered, to be honest. To make things even stranger in this case, not like we need it, there was this statement released by the police, and they said that they believed the last day before the disappearance was an unusual day. It was different. They stated that they believed that something depressed the family and that there may have been unsurmountable conflict as a result of that. But they never actually released like the findings behind that as to why they believed that or what the basis of that was. They just released that statement. What I neglected to mention, when they found Marco's body, they obviously did searches of the river. Now, they used sonar, they used everything, thinking that if his body was in there, then potentially Sylvia and Miriam's was in there too, but they found nothing. They did begin looking into the timeline, which I've given you most of already. They found out that Miriam actually had a doctor's appointment that day because, again, it was claimed that she was ill. I don't even know if we know for sure she was ill, because what if Marco had this grand elaborate plan to take out his family, unfortunately, and then he just kept her off school so he could do it and pretended that she was ill? Who knows? And that is why he kept messaging his wife to say, come home, she needs you, she's really poorly, because maybe she actually wasn't. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, because if she woke up in the morning and then told her mother that she was poorly, then that's different. But if her mother went to work and then Marco was the one that said that she was poorly, then maybe it was part of the plan. That's my thoughts anyway, my opinion on it. Because do we really know that she was poorly? If anybody does know where that came from, apart from the fact that they rang in school and said that, which could be a fib, then please do let me know. Anyway, they found out that Miriam actually had a doctor's appointment that day. It was for 10 a.m. and Sylvia later rang up to cancel that appointment. Obviously, Sylvia went home close to 5-ish. At about 5:30, Marco made a call, and he also received another one at around about 7:33, and I believe that was from the granddad, who had asked if he could speak to, I don't know, Sylvia or Miriam, I'm not sure which, but he was told that they were both asleep in bed. Now, I found that really strange, because that's very early. Yes, okay, for a child who's poorly, maybe, but for Sylvia, why would she be asleep at 7:30? It's very early. To me, at least. So, the police were looking into the case. They didn't really find very much of anything. And then 4 weeks later, a witness came forward to say that they may have heard this family on the day that they actually went missing. She said that about 6 o'clock, she saw, I'm not entirely sure whether she saw or just heard this family, but it was at this pond 50 kilometers from the house. Now, it's quite a public place, this area. And she said that she heard this disagreement and then some screams and a bang. So the conversation specifically that she heard was somebody saying, "What is this about? Are you crazy?" And then Papa stopped that. She described the bang as sounding like a bursting balloon. So people have thought that maybe that was actually a gunshot. On the 17th, the police brought dogs in to try and track scents or anything like that, see whether they could find anything in that area. They apparently found the tracks of the family, which they led to the riverside, and then they lost the scent. Apparently, the only scent that they caught leaving that river was Marco's. So, did something happen in that park? Did he take them out there? Which people have really speculated on as to why, because that is a very public area, and why would you, if you planned on murdering your family and then yourself, why would you do it in a public area? Surely you could just do it in your house and then, I don't know. People have speculated on it anyway. They think that maybe he killed them that day. I don't know, hid their body somewhere, dumped it in that water. And I mean, very well as well, because to this day we have not found Miriam or Sylvie's body. They have just vanished. No evidence or no trace of them has ever been seen since. If he did kill them that day, then he did a real good job of hiding their remains. Not only that, there is a phone call, again, as I've already mentioned, which he received at 7:30-ish from the granddad. He also made a call at about 5-ish, so you know, and they came from his home. They came from the home, so you know that between those times he was home. Now this witness said that this happened at 6, so he didn't have much time to sort of drive down there. I believe it was about 40 minutes away from his house. So 40 minutes to drive down there, commit the crimes, and then he would have had a space of 40 minutes to do that, kill them, dispose of their bodies. And if he had, some people have speculated that maybe he didn't dispose of the bodies, maybe he put them in the car and then drove off and disposed of them later. But my question on that is, surely the dogs would have picked up on that. They only picked up on his scent coming back, not theirs. So that leads me to believe at least that he probably put them in the water or something, because there's no trace of them coming back. It didn't leave him a lot of time to do it, basically. 40 minutes to kill them and dump their body, if that's what he did. And then 40 minutes to then drive back home to get back to receive that phone call in the house. There's not a lot of time. I'm not saying it's impossible, because it's obviously it isn't. But at the same time, if you are going to murder your entire family, you're not going to be wanting, in a public park as well, you're not going to be wanting to stick around so that you can get caught. So you're going to want to be quick, aren't you? I don't know. To this day, we have not found Sylvia. We have not found Miriam. The only person that we have found is Marco. And again, it's believed that it was a suicide. And that's basically all of the sort of facts we know in this case. And obviously, there is the murder-suicide theory that Marco killed his family and then killed himself. Maybe he was under the financial constraint. Maybe he was struggling with alcoholism and he just snapped. As we all know, people have snapped for lesser things. Mental health is a huge issue with us humans, unfortunately, and sometimes it can go undiagnosed for years. You know, it can just crop up. And it's just unfortunate. Or people can just snap. And that is that. They really can. We're not exactly sure how this was done or why it was done, but apparently police have indicated that they have an idea as to the motive, but have never disclosed it. And in Germany, amongst other places, dead people cannot be prosecuted. So a murder case has never been brought forward for this. And this case can still stay open for a long time, because I believe that a missing child can be declared as deceased if they have heard nothing or seen nothing of them, which we haven't so far after the 28th birthday. So the earliest that can happen is 2031 with this case. Really, people just believe that he did it and then he took his own life. There are a couple of sort of reasonings behind that. Either it was very well planned out and he had planned it from the off, which is why he didn't take the job at the stables for the next day, or was hesitant to because he knew that he wouldn't be around anymore, that he would be busy, or that it was just a spur of the moment thing. He just simply snapped and then he saw red and just murdered them, and that it just wasn't planned at all. Or that he found out that Miriam was trying to leave him, which is not confirmed. We don't actually know whether she was, but you know, it's rumoured, it's possibilities. These are only theories, they're not facts. We have no idea what happened. At this point, it's all speculation. Maybe the police know something more than we do, because again, they have not released what they believe is a motive. We just don't know what happened to them that day fully. We have never found their bodies to this day, which is 6 years later at this point, coming on for 7. And a family just vanished off the face of the earth, and that was that. I honestly do hope that one day Sylvia and Miriam's bodies are found and that maybe this case can be solved, because right now people are thinking that Marco did this and then took his own life, and that might not even be the case. We don't actually know that. If his family met some foul play, then maybe they made it look like Marco had committed suicide. And I get it, his bike was there, Miriam's bike was there. They've gone to a lot of lengths to make it look like he drove there and killed himself, but I'm not saying that's impossible. Who's to say that? He could have been framed for all we know. So I really hope this case is solved one day, because there are so many questions in it and nobody really knows the answers to. It's just really frustrating, and for the sake of their family members who just one day lost 3 people out of their lives, it's just madness. Anybody out there knows anything, please do inform the authorities. But yeah, that's the end of the case. If you guys have enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for similar content. Anyway, that's all I have today on the Schulze Family. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.